Today we're going to be learning about VLOOKUP functions. So the first thing we want to know is what is a VLOOKUP function? And you can see here that it is used for choices within a range. Choices are placed in a table somewhere else in the spreadsheet. And just like when we did if functions, you're going to notice that you may be confused at first, but after a while you're really going to get the hang of it. So let's go on to the next thing. The first thing is, what is it that you're looking up? What are you trying to find out? So if you look at the example here, it says equals VLOOKUP H7. So what you're essentially telling Excel is to look in cell H7. This is where the data has been entered. This data will be compared to a lookup chart that you will create on the spreadsheet. And again, this part in parentheses is just there so that you understand what we're going to do with this. But essentially all we're saying here is Excel, look at H7 and see what data has been entered there. Then we tell it to go somewhere. So if we look at the example, we're saying equals VLOOKUP. Look in cell H7 and look at the data that you see there. Now use the cells B20 through C25. Notice the absolute values around. These cell references never change. Also notice that it's a range and a comma separates these two clauses, just like we had with the if function. So the way that we read this is look in cell H7, go to the cell B20 through C25, and find the number that is less than or equal to H7 in column B. This part right here, that is less than or equal to H7, the less than or equal to is always the same. We are always looking for the number that is less than or equal to the number that appears in the first cell that we asked for. Again, notice the dollar signs. Now, this is an example of what the lookup chart would be that you would create in Excel. So this is column B, row 20, and we would enter this data in ourselves. When we look first here at this left column, this is our criteria column. 0 represents numbers 0 to 9. If the number is 0 to 9, then the answer is 1%. If the number is 10 to 19, then the answer is 2%. If the number is 20 to 19, it's 3%. If the number is 30 to 39, it's 4%. And 40 and up is 5%, excuse me. Now you're going to find the answer. So look in cell H7, compare it to the table that you see here. Now get the answer that you see from the second column. Those percentages that we were looking at. The 2 means that that is the column that it gets it from, the second column, column C. It will always be a 2, it will never change. And it's going to put the answer from that cell where you typed your formula. Now there are going to be a few things that you want to make sure that you remember. First, remember that when we talked about the table, that the left column is the criteria column. You need to remember that. The left column is always going to be the criteria column. It can only contain the lowest number in a range. So if your range is 0 to 10, then you only include the 0. You do not include the entire range. Notice that you cannot include hyphens or words in that left column, the criteria column. The right column is your answer column. Again, it will always be the answer column. This can contain anything. You can put words, hyphens, formulas, whatever you want there. So whatever I give you, you should always include in the right column. Words should be in quotations if you are using words, just like we did with if functions. And that's going to be it for our VLOOKUP formulas. We're going to practice something next, so I'll see you then.